career journey probably won't look like anyone else's, and that's exactly what makes it interesting. Welcome to Tallo Real Careers, Real Journeys, where we explore the twists and turns that lead people to where they are today. I'm excited to introduce to you Royal Banks and hear their path from student to franchise owner of any lab test now. Royal, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Arnell. I appreciate you all inviting me on to speak.
And just to kick things off, what does a typical workday look like for you?
Well, a typical work day is me kind of observing what's going on within the lab. So I've gotten to the point where I don't have to be there every single day. I have a great team, one of which started off as an intern for us, who now is a part-timer. So I kind of just watch my systems. I've developed certain systems that allow me to kind of watch what's going on or see what's going on using sales data, marketing data, etc. And I kind of just monitor that from what I like to call my command center or my Starship Enterprise. Sometimes I'd say about 3 to 4 days a week, I go in to the franchise location. I check in on my team, make sure everything is good to go, see if they need anything, pick up inventory, count cash, etc. Deposit cash if need be, give them guidance, and then I roll out. And that's pretty much what a typical. It doesn't seem too exciting, but that's pretty much what a typical day is for me.
So you're able to now focus more on the management of it than having to be on the ground with everything.
That's exactly it.
That's really good.
Mhm.
That's the goal, right?
Oh, that's the goal.
And for your position, what kind of personalities do you think would thrive in your job position?
Yeah, in my job position as an owner.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you have to be resilient. You have to be resilient because yeah, I'm not sure how many other entrepreneurs you all are interviewing in this series, but as an entrepreneur, you're in charge, especially when it's not just you, when you're not just self-employed, and when you have other people that work for you that have children, that have houses, apartments that they have to pay for, etc. You have to stay focused and resilient through the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, the ebbs and the flows, because it's on you. You have to. So the type of personality is a resilient, forward-thinking person who probably thinks of this business thing as a game of chess. You have to think 3 to 5 moves ahead at all times. And at times it's terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. It's terrifying. I would read stories years ago of entrepreneurs that would say, that are now, doing very well in business. They would say we would have many sleepless nights. We'd have many sleepless nights. And I'm like, man, that's, wow. And I started having them myself. Full transparency. Like, wow, this is how this feels when you have that weight of that responsibility. So you have to accept that and be resilient through it and just be persistent no matter what. And I think that's a personality trait that every business owner should have.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing actually, because resiliency is, everyone's going to be a different number. And so that's something you have to have a lot of it in order to really succeed.
Mhm, mhm. It'll try you. It'll
Mhm.
try you. It'll test you. And it'll test your faith. But hey, once you get every week, I get through some other little hill on my mountain that I'm climbing, and I'm like, I look back and I say, I did that. I conquered that. And that's just very powerful. And then when you see, how your team, their morale is, when their morale is very high, they're wanting to come to work. That's just the best thing ever.
And segue from that, how does your role contribute to something bigger or more meaningful?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So even just yesterday, we did a event. So we were vendors at an event at what is called Southwest University out here in El Paso, Texas, and just talking to the local community as they come up to our table and say, our business model, by the way, with any lab test now, is we are a walk-in self-pay medical collection site essentially. So we do clinical wellness testing, STD testing, paternity testing, B12 injections, as well as toxicology testing. And there's no need for insurance. A lot of people are uninsured, and the only option they have is to pay out of pocket for certain blood tests that they need. And so when we educate the local community at these events of, hey, there's a place that you can go to where, you can get your testing done and you don't have to have insurance. We don't accept it. That's our whole business model. And you can still take your results, even if you do have a doctor, you can still take your results to the doctor and you can take your health in your own hands. And that matters a lot to people. I see the light, the eyes light up like, wow, there's a place like this here, like in El Paso, like absolutely. And they have the best experience when they actually finally come into our location. And so that's an actual effect that we have on the community, and the word spreads and more people come and they get their testing done. It's good to see that locally.
Yes, because for me, though I'm not in Texas, I'm in Georgia. It's a similar story where I didn't have insurance and I had to get some testing done. And, the doctor's office wants to charge you an arm and a leg and maybe your dog. And I was like, there has to be like a more affordable way to actually do this. And so I ended up there myself and I spread the word constantly.
Wow, thank you for doing that because
Yeah.
it's part of the brand that we have here. We're essentially a nationwide franchise. So thank you for that, and thank you for sharing your experience on that.
Absolutely. And let's see, what knowledge, skills, or talents are the most important to have in your career?
Oh boy. That's a really good question. One main one is you need to always be learning. That's a major one in entrepreneurship and business ownership. You have to always be learning. That's like the number one skill because as long as you're willing to learn and accept new information and apply it, then it's just a snowball effect. Literally, over the past 2 months, I have been using AI. I've been using ChatGPT to help me make business decisions. And if I was unwilling to learn or to use ChatGPT to help me make business decisions, or possibly even sometimes some of the marketing material that I have, um, I I don't know. I'd be probably in a stagnant place right now. So you have to always. Then other thing, of course, is knowing how to sell and knowing how to communicate your offer um, succinctly. Okay, so as long as you understand what your unique selling proposition is, like what we were talking about, Any Lab Test Now is a direct access medical testing place where you don't have to have insurance and you self pay. Can you communicate that? Can you embody that? Can you sell that? In business, no matter what, is sales. Sales, period, point blank. There's no other way around it. We are not a nonprofit. And even in nonprofits, you still kind of have to sell what you're doing to people that may want to
Yeah.
provide funds for it or grants, etc. So it's always sell. So to kind of recap on that real quick, be willing to learn and be willing to try different things, see what sticks to the wall, and utilize resources that you might not have thought were important before, but they're important now and stay with the times. Other thing is sales and communicating your unique selling proposition succinctly.
And for yourself, what did you study in school? And how did that or did it at all prepare you for this role?
Yeah, it actually helped a lot. I was an
Mm.
English major, so I didn't major in
Mm.
business or anything like that. I was an English major at Tuskegee University. That's my alma mater, and it prepared me like I English prepared me because English prepared me in college to be able to think deeper and to read critically. Then also in college, I never had a job in college. I always had some kind of side hustle, some kind of side business or something. So I was like selling snacks and hot dogs in the dorms or whatever, going door to door. That's just what I did. I never had a job. So those two things, English teaching me how to think critically and read critically, and then having my side businesses and never having a job teaching me how to sell. Then ultimately I went to the US Army, and the US Army really taught me how to be succinct. And when I say succinct, for those who are watching who may not know, you have to get to the point, essentially. And the Army is all about we need to get to the point of what's going on so we can continue with our mission. Ultimately, I was Army Public Affairs, which is basically public relations for the Army and marketing. And that's where I picked up even more skills on how to record, how to prep, speak, how to speak, everything. That's what I learned. So all that led me up until this point. So it wasn't just college, but hey, don't, I will say this, I guess, don't let your major completely confine you, especially nowadays. The world is changing so fast. The workforce is changing so fast. You have to be multifaceted. You can't just say, well, I'm a biology major and all I care about is biology. You have to also know how to speak, how to read, how to think critically. Maybe a little bit of math can help. Maybe knowing how to do Excel could possibly help. Those kind of hard technical skills can help you. So I hope I answered your question on that one.
Yes. And let's see, those entrepreneurship in your own way, what opportunities are there to grow or specialize in your field?
Wow. The entrepreneurship, the entrepreneur mindset, it generally wants to scale. So part of like growing in entrepreneurship is scaling your existing business and your system to open up more locations, or to provide a bigger service area or more services. So those are the opportunities to grow essentially in entrepreneurship. And then there's also, you have outward growth and you have depth as well. So with depth, you can say, well, now that I've been doing this for X amount of years, I'm a consultant on this specific aspect of the business, where you can consult other business owners who maybe, 2 miles behind you on the road, that might need some breadcrumbs or so. So you have scaling going outward, and then you have depth, adding that, and that kind of builds up your growth aspect in this business. That's a great question. Good question.
And are there any specific certifications that kind of helped you in your growth into becoming an entrepreneur?
No,
Oh,
no, no. Ironically, no. I just have been just kind of figuring it out and learning. I will say now I have enrolled in University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, or Urbana-Champaign, for their value chain management certification. So I am taking a certification class starting next month, so to go back to the foundational basics of business, right? Accounting, marketing, and operations. You have to know those things. And I've been kind of doing it and learning, and I wouldn't say winging it, but I guess a little bit of winging, because I mean, honestly, hey, and learning the best I can within my franchise. But yes, I am going to school again next year for the first time in 12 years, to go back to the basics for this stuff. So ask me that question again in about 8 months. Give you a better answer.
and congratulations as well.
Thank you.
And let's see, what would you say is the hardest part of your job?
I would say trying to not have doubt creep in. Like there's some days where business is slow, right? There's things that happen, business is slow. And when you know as an entrepreneur that you've done everything you can to bring in sales, bring in customers, do what you have to do to take care of your customers and your employees, and still maybe day by day, maybe on a Wednesday, something just didn't work. Your sales were low. The hard part is not letting that get to you. That's the hard part. I used to agonize over that. Oh no, we didn't do X amount today. Oh man, I'm terrible. No, you're not. That's just the flow of things. And so not allowing that to get into your head, and because that causes anxiety, which causes stress. Complete transparency, right? For those interns who may be interested in starting their own business one day. I last year, oh my gosh, after I got out the army, I had panic attacks for the first time in my life. I never had panic attacks before, and I just have this my chest went tight. I never felt that, and it was because I was so stressed out, so anxious about things that I really could not control. And guess what? Everything worked out eventually. And I'm here talking to you now. So just not letting the things that you can't control. You wake up, once you wake up, you get up, you do what you have to do, start your day, exercise, pay for your Google ads, you stop by your business, you check in on those are things that you can't control. Things that you can't control is if it rains all of a sudden and nobody wants to leave their house, because it doesn't rain very much in El Paso, and once it rains, no one leaves their house and no one's getting blood testing done. You can't control that. So don't let it get to you. And that's what I had to learn.
Yeah, that is pretty important, especially with the panic attacks. I'm glad you brought those up because more and more people are dealing with anxiety on those levels. So it's great to hear from someone who's like, in a sense, made it, right? At least where a lot of us are trying to be, talk like, yeah, no, that does happen, but you got to learn how to be able to let go so you can move forward.
Gotta let go. That's right.
And you've given a lot of great advice, but if you had to pick one, what advice would you give to someone just starting out?
Just starting out, like interested in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Man, your first business or first idea may not be the one, and that's fine. That's okay. You continue to go through different iterations over time. When I My first little hustle when I was 10 years old was mowing lawns. That's what I did. I'm not mowing lawns anymore. I don't do that, right? And even a few years ago, I started a paternity testing company. I just only did paternity testing. Well, I don't just only do paternity testing now, but paternity testing is a major part of my revenue drivers now because I started with that, got very good at. So my piece of advice is Booker T. Washington, the president of Tuskegee University, said, "Cast your buckets where you are." Okay, so you have to start where you are and keep going. And your first idea is not going to be Facebook. It's not going to be whatever. It's not going to be SpaceX or something like that. But you just keep going, and little by little, you'll start to chip away at your true value proposition and you'll find it. Maybe you'll find it when you're working with the customer or a client or something like that, and they mention something. You're like, man, I never thought about that. Then you kind of pivot. It's okay to pivot. That's completely fine. I tried to do a software as a service company in 2022. $20,000 later on my credit card, that didn't work out too well, so I had to pivot away from that. And that's just part of business. That happens. So don't be ashamed, even if your first idea doesn't really work out too well. That's fine. Take the skills that you learn from that, take the lessons that you learn, and apply it to the next thing, and keep going. Do not quit. Do not quit. Once you quit, I'm gonna get a little deep. And once you quit, or once you stop, and once you say, "Oh, I just give up. I don't want to do this anymore," you put that out there into the world, and there it is. And that's where your momentum stops. As long as you keep going, you got momentum. Momentum brings more momentum, which brings even more momentum, which brings success. That's my advice that I would give.
That's really good advice, actually. I'll keep that for
Thank
myself.
you. Yep.
And lastly, what's the biggest myth or misunderstanding that people have about your position?
Oh, that is easy and that I print money and that I get to do whatever I want to do. Oh, no, 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 you're in charge. You're responsible. And there's no excuses. All right. So no, I'm not flashy. No, I don't I'm not a multi-millionaire yet, right? That's not happening yet. It's not easy. This is not easy. This is this is harder than the army. There was times in the army I was like, "Oh, this is a breeze. I don't have to do very much or think very hard, and I still get paid on the first 15, still get healthcare. Oh man, this is a breeze." But and the, the other biggest myth is that you wake up and upon waking up, you just print money. Oh no, no, no. You have to set the systems up for that. And you have to work, think, apply, adjust, and then boom, that might take months. Are you ready for that? Do you have the patience for that? You have to act. Only you who are watching can ask that question or answer that question for yourself. So yeah, this ain't an easy road, but it's worth it. It's so valuable. I wouldn't trade this for anything else. I woke up this morning. What did I do? I woke up, I worked out at the park, I came home, I let my cat outside, I cleaned up a little bit, went to a tea shop, had a green tea and a muffin, and my business is still running. But it's because I sacrificed and set the systems up to do that this morning a year ago, and I still own it. So that's my advice for that.
So those seeds planted, they tend to take a little bit longer, but when they grow.
Ooh wee, ooh wee. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And with that said, Royal, I do want to thank you for sharing your experience and knowledge with us today.
Thank you
And
for
hopefully our Tallow talent picked up some insights that surprised or sparked something new. Everyone's path is going to be different, and that's what makes it yours. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and remember there is no single right way to build a career. We'll be back next time with another completely different story from a totally different field because the more paths you see, the more possibilities you'll discover for yourself.